Good evening, Veritas scholars, family, and friends. This is Mr. Porter, the Dean of Students of Veritas College Prep. I would like to welcome you to our first ever virtual stepping up ceremony for the class of 2028. Reflecting back on the beginning of the year, who would have thought that for this year, school year, that I'll be presenting for our stepping up ceremony from home. Although we don't get to physically be with each other to hug everyone and take pictures and scream after your scholar makes that walk across the stage, we're still here and scholars still work very hard, and we want to make sure that we acknowledge that. And I was reflecting back on everything that they've done so far. They worked for it. This isn't anything that was earned. So we've come all this way to get to this point. The fact still remains that scholars have worked very hard, whether that was when we were in school. We've had scholars since this pandemic that have been working from home, from laptops, scholars, families coming to pick up work, making sure they got it done, using that tenacity, that Veritas truth, all of those acronyms. And scholars have really, really persevered and went through. And I know I, for one, am very proud and honored. I'm as honored to present right now from the desk at my home as I would be presenting from an auditorium in front of a crowd. So welcome to our class of 2028. I do want to say thank you to all of the parents, all of the families who've been with our scholars through this educational journey to this point. I do want to thank parents for entrusting us at Veritas College Prep. From the bottom of our hearts, I want to say thank you for entrusting us on this journey with your scholars' education. Without further ado, I want to introduce a scholar who is the epitome of our mission here at Veritas and who represents every acronym in truth. I introduce to you Miss Amaya Faulkner for our introduction speech. Miss Amaya Faulkner.
Good evening, Veritas College family. Welcome to your virtual stepping up ceremony. I'm Maya Faulkner from the Golden Classroom. I'm quite sad that we didn't finish the school year all together in the classroom having fun, but at least we're able to keep in contact with each other through technology. I would like to say that I'm proud of everyone for everything they have done through their school year at VCP. Whether it came to VCP in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, we had some unforgettable memories with each other. From arguing over super stuff at the lunch table to the field trip to the Brooks Art Museum. I hope these memories stick with you as you go through high school and beyond. We overcome many obstacles, especially in 7th grade, but we still managed to go over them tenacious. This graduation is one step toward bigger and better things. I hope when you get to high school, you will achieve many great things. I hope you all accomplish all your dreams and have fun while you're at it. And remember, high school is different from middle school, but you have what it takes to succeed. So if you have a hard time, just hang on with yourself. Best of luck to everybody, and congratulations to the class of 2028. Thank you. Good evening, Veritas College family.
Thank you, Ms. Faulkner, for those beautiful words. I would like to introduce our executive director and our principal of Veritas College Prep for a few words for our 8th grade scholars, Mr. Nick Getchman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Porter, and thank you for that great speech, Amaya. Welcome, everybody, to this, as Mr. Porter said, our first ever virtual stepping up ceremony. I've been up against some difficulties in giving these talks before, whether it's been multiple times, the NBA finals starting on the same night. One night the AC went out in the building and we had to do that in the heat. All of it doesn't quite compare to having to deal with a global pandemic, but we're here and we're going to take advantage of this situation. Even though things are different, I would be wrong if I didn't open this up with some thank yous. And I need to thank some different groups here, and the first being the Veritas College Prep Governing Board and our wonderful staff. Whether it's the team working behind the scenes or the people your scholars see every single day, very, very proud of the team that we have that is making this possible for our scholars, whether they're seeing you in person or whether it's all online, over the phone, through a text message, etc. But I'm just very proud to be able to work with a group like this that's able to make this really happen the Veritas way. Also, we want to say thank you to the family members, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, the non-family members, the friend, the neighbor, the community members, all of you. I hope scholars, if you're at home right now listening to this, that you turn and say thank you and give some hugs, because really, truly, this does not happen without our family members here with us. We're so thankful for everything you've done for our school and for us. And as I say all the time, we do not take this decision you made to send your scholar to Veritas lightly. We know how important their education is, and we thank you for coming to us at Veritas and for really buying into the Veritas way. And finally, the big thank you is to you, scholars. We talk a lot about school, about you coming to school to learn something and to be given something. But I don't think you realize like how much you give to us and how much you teach us. And so as we are as excited today about what you are going to accomplish and what you're going to do, I want to thank you for the work that you've put in. Thank you for all that you've added to us, even some of these gray hairs that I see growing in down here. But we really appreciate all that you've done. Now, as I start to think of a theme or something to talk about tonight, I had a little bit of difficulty because it seems like everybody has their own opinion about what this pandemic, what this is going to do to us. Some say, you know, once things get back to normal, everything will be like it was before. Others say this is going to change everything from how we do school to how we go shopping. Nothing will be the same. There are those who say these professions are going to be the most important coming out of this, and others say that, hey, we'll be right back where we were before. And you can hear all sorts of different takes on what's happening. So it's tough to pin down some really great advice for you. So let me just say that I'm going to cheat a little bit and just go with what I know and what we've talked about so much for these past 3 years that you've been with us, and that's the Veritas core values. It's truth, teamwork, respect, urgency, tenacity, and honesty. And I'm going to focus on those 2 T's because I think they really tell what is important in getting us here and what we can lean on moving forward. So we're talking about teamwork and tenacity, and those 2 bookmark T's right there, because I believe they emphasize the power of the individual, but also the power of the team. And that's what has gotten you to this point, and that's what's going to take you forward as we talk about your journey to high school, to college, and a professional career. So as we talk about tenacity, it's taken a lot of individual tenacity to get you to this point. You've had to push through quite a bit. You are this class right now. You're forever going to be the class that went through COVID-19. And it's taken strength and tenacity, and you should be commended for the work that you've put in, whether that was before all this, getting yourself up in the morning to get to school on time, completing that homework late at night so that you had it finished and was done. All the effort that you had to do and push yourself to get to this moment, that tenacity has carried you through. It's done you well, and it's going to continue to do that. If you lean on tenacity and the hard work and not giving up, that Veritas grit, you'll be taken far in life. And one of the things that I lean back on and talk a lot about is one of our favorite poems, Invictus. Repeated it. You see it as a sign in the school. Last line, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. That's Veritas tenacity right there. And as we move into some unknown times, like you've shown tenacity in the past, you've shown tenacity to get here, like continue to push and show your VCP tenacity. But that's not going to be enough. And it's not the only thing you can lean on. And as a great basketball coach, Phil Jackson, said, the strength of the team is each individual member, but the strength of each member is the team. And that's where we come back to teamwork. No one does this alone, right? No one, as successful as you are, no one can get through this relying solely on themselves, doing everything themselves. It doesn't work that way. And you haven't gotten here just by doing this on your own, right? You can think about the teachers that you've leaned on throughout your schooling, whether it's before, those phone calls that teachers get help on your homework, or now it's logging into your Google Classroom and asking for help or getting those virtual office hours. Teamwork comes from your teachers working with you. Your family has been important in getting you here. Your family, mom getting you up in the morning so you get on that bus so you're ready to go, or all the sacrifices those people make so that you can be successful and on this trajectory into a great high school and college career. And then your classmates. Think about all the times you've had to rely on your classmates through tough times. Whether it was a really tough homework assignment, you need a little bit of help on the bus right before you get to school so it's done on time. Some of you know who I'm talking to. But your classmates are important here in teamwork, and none of this happens with all of us together. So I wanted you to think about the teamwork necessary, and not just what we take in from teamwork, but I think it's also important for us to talk about what it means to be a good team member. Many people have helped lift you up along this way. As you become older and looked at to more of a leader, I think it's important for you to also lift up those around you and those who need someone to help lift them up. And so it's kind of wrap up here, and just a few quick words that I wanted to leave you with, and want you to always have that Veritas grit and grind to fall back on, and to think about tenacity. What can I do individually and push others? And then also, what do I need to do for my community, and what my community can do for me to help push me forward? And so in final words, just share a quote from someone I think we could all use a little bit more of, President Obama, who talks about the me and the we. But as he said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And so congratulations, class of 2028. I look forward to doing this again in 4 years, seeing you graduate from high school. And then in 8 years from now, in 2028, when we can laugh about that semester almost that we had to spend at home doing things just over the computer as you get those college diplomas and graduations. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you, parents. Thank you, staff. Thank you, scholars, and best of luck. Go Lions.
Thank you, Mr. Gishman, for those words. Now I want to introduce our teachers, 8th grade teachers, Mr. Fortner and Mrs. Shotwell, who will recognize our valedictorian and salutatorian.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mr. Fortner. I was their 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher. I've been there for 5 years. So I've taught these scholars in 7th grade and 8th grade. And I'll be introducing the salutatorians. So the first thing I did was I looked up famous salutatorians. And I found some very interesting people in that list. Albert Einstein was a salutatorian. JFK was a salutatorian. And Michelle Obama was a salutatorian. And so I just thought, here's these people that got all the way. They did wonderful in school. They didn't quite make the top list, but they still did. They just still deserve excellence and recognition. And I heard a guy tell me this a couple of years ago. He said, not everybody is born special, but you have to choose to be special. And these scholars that became our salutatorians chose to be special every single day, because you can't be excellent in the classroom one day, one semester, or 1 year. It takes all 3 years in order to get where these scholars stand today. Excuse me. So also, it's important to note this is a stepping up ceremony. So they're going to be going up into high school, and they'll have the same goals hopefully they had in middle school. And maybe in high school they'll be valedictorians instead of salutatorians. But these scholars have embodied our core truth values, and I would say they almost harassed me in a way to make sure they were doing good in school. They always asking, can I do better? What I need here? What I need this? What does this mean? Why'd you teach it that way, etc. And honestly, they made me a better teacher. So I want to say thank you to them. I know the other teachers agree with me on that. And so they have ownership of their education. And I think that's very important for someone who's going to be excellent or excellent in life is make sure you make that choice every single day to be excellent yourself. So I mentioned famous salutatorians in the beginning: Obama, Michelle Obama, JFK, Einstein. And I always wondered, did they always just wonder, what if I done a little bit more there? I could have been there. So I think I want to make sure that these people, maybe not being recognized right now, but sitting there watching this and didn't quite make it to salutatorian or valedictorian, we get to high school, instead of being second, third, fourth, or fifth, why don't you strive to be first? And that's all I got to say. So congratulations to our salutatorians, Ms. and Zamoria Spearman. Thank you. Good luck.
Hey, all guests watching. This is Ms. Shotwell, and I'm here to introduce our valedictorian. So I have the pleasure and honor of introducing to you all Amaya Faulkner, who is our valedictorian for the class of 2028 this year. So this scholar has shown incredible aptitude across the board when it comes to academics. She has repeatedly met any challenge we have given her head on. Just thinking of academics alone, we can only imagine how far Amaya will go in her success as a scholar. However impressive her academic record may be, this is not the most extraordinary thing about her. Her character and integrity match her intelligence. She is willing to do just about anything that is asked of her, yet she is bold enough to stand up for herself when it is right, when the situation calls for it. Her sense of humor never fails to brighten the class when needed. She's a scholar, leader, and classmate in the class and outside of the class. She has proved herself trustworthy and mature time and time again, always exemplifying the Veritas core values. I can go on and on about her great qualities, but I'll stop right there. Amaya, you have earned this spot of valedictorian. And I will end this speech with her infamous catchphrase, and that's on period. Congratulations, Amaya. We could not be more proud of you.
Congratulations to those scholars. Thank you, Mr. Fortner, Ms. Shawwell. I know for me, speaking of Amaya, I know there have been plenty of mornings that if I didn't have my secretary for my coffee runs, that I wouldn't have made it. So congratulations again, and thank you, scholars, for all of your hard work that you put in. You've earned it. Now I want to introduce our Director of Services, Ms. Bassler, to present all of our 8th grade scholars for the class of 2028.
Congratulations to the 8th grade class of VCP, our scholars of 2028. Michaela Anderson. Nicholas Applewhite. Kyra Bearden. Jabria Bowen. Theron Brown. Jada Brown. Mikhail Cabral. Jamarius Chapman. Ardarius Conway. Shakira Crawford. Tyji Davis. Princeton Eddings. Melvin Edwards Jr., Amaya Faulkner, Diamond Faulkner, Travion Flake Ward, Braylon Gooch, David Graham, Aaliyah Hamilton, Anthony Harris, Zaria Nicole Herring, Serenity Humphreys, Russell Hunt, Naya Jackson, Tony Macklin, Ronnie Maldonado, Serenity Mathis, Simone Mitchell, Anteria O'Neill, Jacqueline Parson Anderson, Dante Payne, Tyler Payne, Deshaun Perkins, Brittany Perry, Tony Pledge, Fabiana Radeles, Caleb Rogers, Rashawn Sherfield, Damian Smith, Zamoriasia Spearman, Corey Watson, Torian TJ West, Toriel West, Chandria White, Amber Wilkins, Kylan Williams. Congratulations, class of 2028.
Woo! Yeah! Woo! Way to go! Yeah!
Thank you all again. Congratulations, class of 2028. Although we don't know what's to come in the future during this pandemic, I do know, and I am excited about the future for our scholars. Once again, thank you again, families, for letting us have your scholars and trusting your education of your scholars with us. Without further ado, again, big congratulations to the class of 2028, and we'll see you guys soon.
Way to go. Good work.